part of building a foundation is building something that you can trust. But if you've broken through and identified that you cannot trust the foundation in which you've built your entire career around, a lot of times you go, wow, I can reevaluate this, and I can go off and do my own thing, and it's not going to hurt me. But a lot of folks, when they break that foundation, they come to realize that they, just like the shirt I'm actually wearing now, absolutely proud to be wearing this shirt, and working with Just Rudolph of Dynamic Results. That is an entrepreneurial endeavor, and another part of entrepreneurship through endeavors like this. Many people can come to the understanding of what is a financial education, and that's something they did not teach you in schools. If you start your own business, you're forced to learn. You must learn if you are to adapt and survive. Those who do not adapt as a business will die. You either evolve or you die, right? Without going into too much philosophy here or theory, right? That's the theory of evolution, right? You either evolve or you die. Now, you take that into a business section, right? Your business either evolves over time, you learn, or you go back and work for somebody else doing, you work on their schedule, you work on their time frame, you meet their demands. That is how it works, correct?
It's very true.
That is very true. And as I like to tell a lot of people who basically say understanding of financial education is just learning how to balance a checkbook, learning how to balance your debt and your mortgage. That is not a financial education. A great example begins with understanding my favorite thing of all time, assets and liabilities. Not really my favorite thing of all time, but to start on the entrepreneurial mindset and the endeavors road, you have to understand assets and liabilities. My car is a liability. If I owned a house with a mortgage on it, that's a liability. Of course, you have insurances that you can pay into, for coverage, but they don't really offset your monthly costs, right? If you have, let's say you make an investment and you're not getting an ROI or a return on investment, that is a liability. Anything that you constantly dish money out of your paycheck for does not return the money. Like, let's say, I give somebody money and they're not returning it with any value proposition. That partnership or whatever it is, that's technically a liability, right? And the difference between the rich and the poor is the rich increase their assets. The rich, it's like the game Monopoly, right? The rich increase their assets every time. If you play Monopoly when you're a kid, you understand that, as you go around the board, every time you land on someone's property, right, or a hotel or something, you have to pay them. You have to pay the bank, or you have to pay the private owner, the private investor, whoever it be, as you go around. And the whole idea is to own more of the game, own more of the board. Monopoly, right? The difference between the rich and the poor is the rich increase their assets, and they'll have, as they own a building or something like that, or they lease land, right? Rent, lease, they own it, and that provides them cash flow opportunities. The rich have more assets for cash flow opportunities. The poor have more liabilities, and the poor are also more susceptible to marketing schemes. So the poor and the lower class are kind of like they're taught that they need these things. I need more stuff, right? I need more stuff to be happy. You'll follow these paths and you'll buy this stuff and you'll do these things and you too will be happy. You too will find personal success. There's all these preset notions that exist in the social norm. And that social norm was to, basically to keep you within a condensed mindset of thinking. The whole terminology of breaking out of the box, thinking outside the box, or one of my favorites, I always parody is Taco Bell's "think outside the bun," right? Two concepts that I like to intertwine. It was in Sam Walton's book, Made in America, right? He basically brought to the table this, more or less this phrase of, go where they ain't, right? Sam Walton had a value proposition, and he was tired of competing and not being able to, get a leg up where he was at. So he went where they ain't. He went out to the farmlands, he went out to the boonies, he went out to the country where, poor rural farmers didn't have the ability to travel as far to get what they need. So he brought that product to them, creating a value proposition to them, and basically owning that market sector, right? The big players in the cities really did not see, the outskirts of the cities, the country, the boonies. They didn't see the value there. They said, oh, there's a bunch of poor rural farmers. there's a lot of poor rural farmers with a lot to basically spend on the things that they need to provide for their families, right? So Sam Walton goes out there, he basically gains that market sector, and he pretty much dominates it, right? So he went where they weren't, right? He went where they weren't, and he gained dominance of that market sector. Okay. So the key takeaway from it was James McQuivey. He authored a book called The Digital Disruption, and basically within that, the key takeaway was innovate adjacently, right? You don't always want to be following the competition, what the competition is doing, because you'll always be a step behind them. Competition is, way out ahead of the game. They're always thinking and innovating adjacently, so you're going to be trailing on behind them. So the idea is to come up with your own value proposition in a totally different direction that maintains sector awareness and basically not branching too far outside, but also creating new capabilities, right? So it was basically in Mark Cuban's book, How to Win at the Sport of Business. He basically identifies that, more or less, once you understand how to wear every hat in a business, you have to be everything from the trash man to the accountant. First time, all on your own. And then as you continue to understand the value of basically bringing people on board, understanding how they can add value to their business, how they are going to help you build, how they're a team player, right? As you add valuable team members to help your business grow, you shall succeed. I believe given the provided information from the standpoint of getting students ready to face real world challenges, right? As far as training students in the craft of entrepreneurship will help give them, better opportunities in an ever fluctuating workplace and marketplace, and being able to, handle life in general, handle worst case scenarios, how to basically think on their feet, crafty solutions, thinking outside the box, being able to build on their skill sets and abilities and implement them in real life, right? In their general lives, and they can basically aspire towards wealth that they would have never been able to, possibly comprehend if they had just followed the herd. If you follow the herd, you don't get what you want, you get what they give you. That's the thing. If you follow the herd, you don't get what you want, you don't get what you desire, you get what is provided and given to you. All right. So basically, that mediocre mindset, which really is not what we aspire to be, right, is exactly what separates entrepreneurs from that mediocre and average mindset. Average and mediocre people don't tend to become entrepreneurs, right? So with these given examples in mind is exactly why I believe entrepreneurship should, in fact, be taught in schools. And if you have entrepreneurial endeavors in mind, I encourage you, follow them. Follow them. You won't be upset. The only thing you'll ever be upset about is regret.